Segment is sponsored by the OCD and Anxiety Treatment Center. We are kicking things off on a little bit of a more serious note today. Paul Peterson is joining me via Skype. He is the CEO of the OCD and Anxiety Treatment Center. Paul, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, it's nice to be here today.
All right,
Sure.
so let's start off. How does someone know if their anxiety is actually affecting their life more than maybe normal?
Right. Well, Caitlin, you've probably been to a doctor's office where, they give you that pain scale, 0 to 10, 10 being the highest distress you can have, 0 not having any at all. Well, we do the same with anxiety. 0, I have no anxiety, 10, I am beyond anxiety. And everybody falls on that spectrum to one level or another. But what should cause you to be a 1 or a 2 is now causing you to be a 7, an 8, a 12, the engine is burning. That's a problem. And not only that, when it's that intense, it's really hard to be in the moment with people. There's so much adrenaline going on, and so it's tough.
Well, I'm sure we've all felt that to some degree, but you guys treat anxiety and OCD a little differently than the common treatments that are used. What's different about your approach?
Right. Well, in the traditional therapy, people will process emotions. They will teach them thinking ways to better their thoughts. They will teach them how to distract themselves or explore, try to figure out what's going on. And that may work for many areas in therapy, but for OCD and anxiety, it's not helpful at all because what we know is there is a malfunction that's happening in the brain. It's triggering incorrectly. And so instead of feeling a 1 or a 2, it's now an 8, a 9. And not only that, but it's going to last for a significant amount of time. And so we use this evidence-based treatment. It's the gold standard for OCD and anxiety treatment, which is exposure and response prevention. And what it does is it changes what the brain is doing. It triggers wrong. Well, let's help it trigger right. And if we could do that, then when these thoughts are coming in, instead of being triggered and having this massive adrenaline coming in and all these worries and being consumed with these thoughts, I'm just having the thoughts like everyone else does, an experience like everyone else does.
So why are these exposures and this technique the best way to deal with OCD and anxiety, and as opposed to the other ones that may have been used more typically in the past?
Right. Well, because we know that no matter how much talking you do, you will not figure it out. You will not figure out how to resolve the problem. And so if we can change the way the brain triggers, well then, and we can get the brain to learn new things, well then we're in a good place. And so exposures will do that. And it's hard, because, the brain tells you to try to figure out these things. But what if you don't? Well, the reality is that these things that consume people's thoughts really don't need to be so important. And because they become so important, it's really difficult to just engage in my life and what's going on around me.
Right. And there's so many people out there watching, I imagine, thinking, I need help. I can't overcome this on my own. If there's people out there with OCD or anxiety that need help today, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, definitely. We have a website called the OCD and Anxiety Treatment Center.com, or our phone number is 801-298-2000. And we've got our fantastic admissions team who can take the call and get you started.
Perfect. Paul, thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you for having us.